All right, so this is the shape. This is a placeholder name for him right now because I thought it would be most fitting. So the shape is a undefined type character because his powers can't really be pinpointed down to one element, and his powers are actually kind of undefined as well. So as you can see, he kind of looks like a regular dude somewhat, but then he has like these monstrous tendrils coming out from behind his back, and so his power, we don't really know the specific limits of them, but the most usual thing is that he can kind of turn into monsters and like the kind of defy physics and anatomy a bit. So you could imagine he could do things on screen if he were in an actual Celestial show. That imagine you shoot like a bullet at him, and then all of a sudden he grows like a hole in his stomach, and the bullet just flies right through. I think that'd be a funny idea, for example. Um, and I didn't give him as a person an actual name yet, but the idea is kind of that he throws away his humanity over time. So I think, if I remember correctly, Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is also kind of like that. I took some inspiration from him. And the idea is essentially that he hates humans for all kinds of reasons, and maybe I could expand upon that. But because he can kind of turn into monsters, he would over time start showing more and more monstrous features. And you can see his character design already kind of shows this very well, in the sense that he doesn't want to look like a human. You can see he looks very bland, he looks very forgettable as a person, but then you see the big giant monstrous tendrils behind him. So you can see he has just like a gray jacket. He just has pants and shoes, and just his hair slid back. And I didn't even give him a necklace, which is something that I usually like to do. But then you can see like the sort of almost tumor growing on his chest that is kind of like a bioproduct of him using his powers sometimes. And yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if he like works with the villain force, maybe that over time you would get to see him more and more like turning into a monster. Like sometime maybe he would have like cat eyes, maybe his skin color would change to like a more gray or purple color. Maybe he would start deforming his body more, like maybe he would look more muscular and maybe grow like extra arms or something over time, like on over a long period. And he would sort of start adapting to like looking less human. So I think that'd be interesting. And essentially his power, like I said, isn't really defined. We wouldn't get much context for his if he was introduced in the on-screen show. So for example, Frost Knight, you know that he can like shoot ice, he can make ice weapons, he can propel himself with ice, he can build ice walls, stuff like that. But this guy, we wouldn't know exactly what he can and can't do. But I will say he would most often just turn into a monster or something. But I think he would be really cool as like this visceral, like horrid villain to look at. If you've seen like those weird AI clips of people like randomly turning into almost these monstrous looking creatures, it'd be kind of like that. It would be like really disgusting to watch. And I think his main form would be inspired by like the creepypasta monster from that old Godzilla NES game, but like in purple. And you could use your imaginations. Your imagination, because I didn't draw too much sketches of this because the actual drawing already took me some time. But you could imagine he could sort of be like this, like I said, anatomically defining guy that doesn't really abide to the laws of like how a body should work or like how physics should work. And another idea I had was if he could sort of jump onto walls. So imagine this guy is like generally like disgusting to watch transform. Like he'd be nightmare fuel on screen. And so he could jump onto a wall like Spider-Man maybe, and then his rib cage could just like split in two, and he could like turn giant and maybe purple, and his whole body would turn like more skeletal, and essentially he would turn into like this big ribcage monster, and the ribs would like become his sideways teeth, and there would be like saliva drooling everywhere, and yeah, he could just look really like disgusting and scary, and I really like this idea of like a monstrous villain. And yeah, you can see like the tendrils behind him kind of already showed that a little bit, and you can see like the tendril on the bottom left is sort of like powering up almost, like it's about to transform into something else too. So yeah, maybe he would just use these tendrils in his human form, and he could adapt to all kinds of things. So you can really imagine him like turning into different creatures that don't look like they're supposed to exist. And he could maybe like deform his body. Like I said, when you shoot a bullet or something, it goes right through because he makes a hole in his stomach or something. And I also think he could have a little bit of reality bending. So maybe he could like make the floor rise up or something. Maybe he could let you see things that are not there. So this would tie in nicely with his power. And I think remember Celestials. The idea is that it's like supposed to be like a TV show, like a TV series with backstories and like cool character arcs. So I think if this guy would come on screen, it would be more sophisticated compared to the other characters because he can kind of shapeshift. I think it'd be interesting if he maybe plans something out where he robs a bank or something as like a regular looking guy. Then he gets thrown into a hospital after he gets injured or like shot during the robbery. And then he emerges in the hospital and like turns into a monster and tries to kill the people. And I think that would be cool. That then people would quickly call onto like the hero force, and the main cast would teleport outside the hospital with their hero crystals, and then they would just see like the silhouette of this giant like monstrous tendril guy through the window. And then maybe he would jump through the glass or through the wall or something, and they'd start fighting. So yeah, I don't know. I think this guy could be really creepy. Like if you imagine he could turn into like these nightmarish monsters, I think that would be really cool. Um, and I think I did a good job with the drawing. I don't usually shade my drawings that well because it is kind of my weakness. But if you'll notice, I try to add a little bit of shadow. I try to make the drawing look a bit more detailed with the textures as well on the tendrils this time. And yeah, I'm really proud of how this turned out. If you have any suggestions for this guy, leave it in the comments because maybe he could use a better name. If I remember correctly, the shape is also a nickname for Michael Myers, but I thought this would be a good name for him. I kind of have this issue where sometimes I take elements from already existing characters and apply them to mine, which may seem like I'm plagiarizing, but it's just kind of a coincidence. I think I had like a character, yeah, Night Throat. I had a character in the past as well that was called Night Throat and had a ghost face mask, but I just thought that mask would be very fitting. Um, so yeah, maybe I should change that as well. Anyway, if you liked this video, leave a like, and I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Bye.